Hello everyone and welcome! Are you ready to get comfy and cozy? Well, we hope you are because it is time for pumpkin spice and everything nice. This week we're doing something autumn inspired and we're building a Carpenter Gothic farmhouse with an apple orchard and a pumpkin patch. So a couple weeks ago, we asked you here on the community tab of YouTube what you would like to see us build. And although the autumn inspired build, nope, it did not win. It was so incredibly close that I told you guys I would build something autumn inspired. And I've actually been wanting to build a apple orchard for some time now, meaning like a year. So this was a great opportunity to do that. And then we also had to add in pumpkin patch into there, right? Because apple cider, pumpkin spice lattes, apple pie, pumpkin pies, all these good fall comfort foods. This is a residential lot. This has 4 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, and 1 half bathroom. So the setup is there's a master bedroom and bathroom. There are 2 bedrooms that are set up for either children or teenagers, and then 1 specifically set up for a toddler. There is also some pet food bowls here, which isn't like a huge deal, but there's plenty of room for pets here. So you can have a cat, a dog, both, multiple of whatever kind of pet you want, plenty of room. Despite this being a residential lot, I did also want this to kind of feel like a community/business lot. Yes. So how I achieved that was very simple. I put a seller's table on this lot. You'll see that later. So basically, your Sims can grow all their own produce. If you want to have them bake pies or baked goods, you can have them do that and then sell things right here on their residential lot. And then next to that seller's table, I also put a concession stand from Season. So it's the fall concession stand that has like the apple cider on the top. Why are you so grumpy? You need some apple cider? It is good. So the issue about the concession stand is you have to hire someone to tend it, which is kind of annoying. And I don't know why your own Sims can't do that, because your Sims can bartend and make money, but not tend concession stands, which is weird. So if you don't like that idea and you find it annoying, just delete it. Like plop in a tree there. A tree will look very nice there instead of that concession stand. Just go ahead and do that. And then something else I do have to mention. Yeah, this is the big issue. So there are a lot of pumpkins all over the place on this lot. Some are decorative from Seasons, and then the others are from Cottage Living. So here's the issue. If you do nothing, after like 7 days, you're gonna have a bunch of stinking, rotting pumpkins all over the place. Ew. So you will have to, 1, sell all the pumpkins, 2, use up all the pumpkins, 3, delete the pumpkins, replace them with decor items, or the 4th option, which I like, if you're on PC, I highly recommend the Kiss of Fresh mod by Ravasheen. I'll put that link in the description below. Highly recommend that. So basically, it's a sign you put on the lot. When you go into live mode, it disappears, and it's basically like a hidden lot trait, so nothing on the lot will go bad. So all your produce, any like fruits, vegetables, flowers, arrangements, all that kind of stuff, none of the stuff will go bad. And I know it's kind of cheaty, but then at the same time, if you're using all these pumpkins as decor, then it's okay. In my mind, it's okay. But do what you want, but you'll have to figure out what you want to do in that instance. Otherwise, yeah, go around and like replace all the actual pumpkins with the decor pumpkins. But I like the variety that we get with both. That's just my preference. But enough about the build. I know those of you who were here last week for last week's speed build, you're probably waiting for the continuation of last week's story. If you haven't already seen last week's speed build, I highly recommend that. Otherwise, you're not going to know what we're talking about this week. But a quick recap. So, yes, would you like to tell people? No. Okay, fine. So a quick recap. My husband and I just got back from a 50+ mile backpacking trip in the mountains of Colorado, and I was telling the story of how that part of the trip was going. So we got to day 3 last week, and on day 3, we climbed up and over a saddle. We saw 2 lakes, and it rained on us and all of our challenges, so we were starting to descend and we were trying to look for a campsite, and we now come upon a river and things are looking pretty good. Like, okay, we're probably going to be able to find a area to set up our tent. And we're walking along the river, and the other thing is, at some point soon, we have to cross this river. The thing is, like, we're kind of like looking at this river and trying to figure out where are we gonna cross, because at one point it was pretty wide, and then the other thing is it was actually really deep and the current was pretty decent. So there had been no good place to cross this river. And then we get to a point where we're both just like, oh no. And I'm exhausted, my feet hurt, and I'm just kind of frustrated at this point, like, oh great, and it's getting dark. On top of it, it's getting dark. We come across an area of the river where there was obviously probably a avalanche, and it took down tons of trees with it, and now there is like this huge, gigantic dam of trees in the river. So I mean, you can imagine a beaver dam times 1,000. Like, it was... There was a lot of trees. Yeah, it was a lot. So my husband is thinking we're gonna have to like physically cross over these trees to get to the other side. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, no way, I am not. No way, because it's starting to get dark and cold, and if one of us falls in, more like me because my balance is not good, I will fall in, I will be soaking wet, and it's gonna be freezing cold. So I'm like, there's no way. But then I'm like starting to kind of panic a little bit, like, oh great, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? So I'm like looking around the area, like there's gotta be a different way around. And what I had noticed was where the trail basically had ended there, I kind of saw that there was a newly created trail that went up and over, and I'm like, okay, it could be from people, it could be from animals. Either way, I'm going through that. I mean, it was through some bramble and brush, which wasn't ideal, but went up and over that, and then saw, oh my gosh, thank goodness, on the other side, it looks so much better. So we went up and over that, and the benefit of all those trees being in the way now is it's slowed down the river a little bit, which is good, because I mean, I was honestly surprised at how high that river was for that time of year. So it's like, all right, I'm like, I'm gonna go see, I think I can get across over here without having to take off my boots. So I start going across, and then I get to a point and I'm like, nope, we can't cross without taking off our boots. So I come back, and this is why it's just kind of frustrating, because it's like, it's getting dark, and now this is taking more time. We gotta take off our boots, take off our socks, strap our boots to our pack, get our water shoes on, and then cross. And then, so yeah, crossed, made it across, that all worked fine. And then we're both like, all right, well, there's some nice flat areas here, and it looks like we'll be able to set up camp nearby. So we just left our water shoes on, even though I'm thinking my feet are gonna start freezing really soon because it's getting cold. And somehow they never did. I don't know how. I don't know how. So we find a nice clearing that is far enough from the river, but still close enough so we can get our water for cooking and for drinking, which is great. And it's kind of secluded and in some bushes and trees. And we ended up setting up our tent under a big giant pine tree. It was really pretty. And then thankfully it stopped raining. It had been raining like all afternoon, and it stopped raining. So we were able to set up the tent without it raining. We were able to set out some stuff to dry, set up the tent, and as we're getting things ready, a couple of deer came through the site super close to us, a buck and a doe, and then we were both able to just like stay super still. And they were like a little nervous at first, and then they were just like, oh, okay. So then they just very gently walked through very slowly. So that was really cool. When I finally got to the point of drying off my feet and then being able to put socks back on, I had realized now at this point in the trip that I had some really big blisters going on, which also made sense why my feet hurt so bad. I don't think I've ever had blisters this big, ever. I mean, I know people have had worse blisters than this, like including my husband. He also had, his weren't as big as mine, but he had like multiple little ones starting like all over his feet. And then he had previously, like before this trip, had like one gigantic blister on the bottom of his foot, which was thankfully healed. But so yeah, that blister was like way worse than mine. But the problem is, it's like, yeah, you bandage them up and then it's like, you know, it's still going to be rubbing against the boot. And thankfully they didn't pop. Sorry, it's gross. It's gross, but they didn't pop. So that's good. I was able to keep band-aids on them. But like, yeah, that was not fun. So the next day we had to keep continuing going down, and then we ended up having to go back up and over another saddle. And we got up towards that saddle and it was extremely windy. And I also noticed and told my husband, like, okay, you're gonna have to like very quickly take pictures. You can take pictures, but do it very quickly because we need to keep moving because it looks like it's gonna rain on us again. So we quickly did that, and as we're starting to come down, we had seen two hunters that were also joining us and coming down the path, and then they caught up to us. And I guess the one guy I didn't hear very good, probably because I had my hood on. I had my hood on like a lot that day because rain, cold, wind, and I didn't hear very well, but I guess my husband said that I had heard this part. They said that there's a storm coming, but I didn't know that he had like a Garmin like weather thing with him, that he was able to see that there was a storm coming. So he was like, there's a storm coming, you better get to camp soon. So it's like, and I already knew, it's like, yep, the sky did not look good. So we had to quickly go down, quickly find somewhere where we wanted to set up camp. And it's like, I'm very particular, so I passed up a couple areas because I'm like, no. And then we got to an area and I'm like, this is perfect. Like, this is more secluded. There's more flat spots. Like, this will work. This is great. So we set up our tent super quick. We were able to do that just in time. And then we had to jump in the tent because it started pouring. So we're in the tent for a little bit. Finally, the rain lets up and we were like, all right, well, we need to eat something quick. And we didn't want to prepare a hot meal because it was not nice out. It is now like windy and really cold, and we both just wanted to get back in the tent. So we ate some dry stuff and like, we'll save our hot meal for the morning. Yeah, because that's a way better thing to do. We'll wake up to a nice hot meal. So eat quickly. Like, I didn't even get to finish all my food. I did not, because then it started raining again. So I did not eat enough that day. I woke up in the middle of the night with my stomach rumbling, but it's like, I didn't have a choice. You're not supposed to eat in the tent with bears being around, so we didn't do that. And it rained all night. I put earplugs in. My husband probably should have, because he didn't sleep, because it was loud rain all night, and I could still hear it with the earplugs in. And then I wake up in the morning and I'm looking at the tent and I'm like, what is up with the tent? And I was like telling my husband, like, is the water like coming through the tent? What is going on? So I open the zipper of the tent and stick my head out, and it's snowing. Like, oh my gosh. Of course it's snowing. Our last day, we wake up to snow, which is kind of like, oh, great, because it's cold and it's very heavy, wet snow. But at the same time, it was just like, wow, it is so beautiful. It was absolutely gorgeous. So we made our breakfast, and this was our last day. So we're like, all right, we're eating breakfast in the tent because it is freezing and we won't have to worry about bears after this. So we made our hot breakfast and had that in the tent, packed up and went down the mountain. and we're able to take some pictures of the beautiful snow, but everything melted really, really quick. This last day was not a super great one. It was just on and off rain all day. So it was kind of just miserable, and we were both just ready to be done. So it's like we had to go back down a little bit, and then we had to go up and over one more saddle of the mountain, one last one. So that was kind of an interesting day. It was just, yeah, it was rough with the rain, but we had to do another river crossing. And we found out later that we ran into a couple that they were able to cross the river without taking off their boots, which we took off our boots and then had to re-bandage our feet again after that in the rain, which was fun. But yeah, that day was kind of cool because then we ended up going onto private land a little bit, which was through a ranch with a bunch of cows. So we got to walk alongside all these cows, which was kind of cool. A little bit nerve-wracking because at one point there was a bull and I didn't know how he was going to react, but yeah, he was fine. He didn't care. It was just getting rained on and he was more concerned about eating, so he didn't care about us. But that's like a quick summary of everything for that day. And yeah, we made it out by the afternoon and we're able to go to a hotel, and we were out in Colorado then for like another week, and we got to do a lot of fun stuff, and I'll have to talk about that in another video because yes, we are getting towards the end of this video once again. The time flies by so quickly. Thank you so much for hanging out with us again this week. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to give us a like, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and as always, this build will be up on the Sims 4 gallery, so go and check that out. My ID is down in the description box. We hope you have an amazing week, everyone, and we will see you next week. Bye!
are turning brown. Red and yellow, soon they'll be falling down. Now, I'm not ready, not just yet. I'm not ready for all Autumn comes too soon. Autumn comes too soon. The light that flickers will blow away the sight, and all that blossomed will wither away and die. Not now, I'm not ready, not just yet. I'm not ready for autumn. Autumn comes too soon. I'm not ready for autumn. Autumn comes too soon.